This is Kyle Bell with the South Bend Voice. Today we're speaking with Michael DeVita, who is a planner with the Department of Community Investment in the city of South Bend. The city presented changes to the Lincolnway corridor from William Street to the airport last week. Mike, could you talk to us a little bit about those changes?
It's part of its Smart Streets initiative, and as well as implementing the West Side Main Streets plan, the recently completed revitalization plan for Lincolnway West and Western Avenue. The city's proposing some changes to the lane configurations along Lincolnway West. As part of that, the street will be changed from 4 lanes or 2 lanes in each direction to 3 lanes, where there's 1 through lane in each direction, a center left turn lane, then on-street parking and bike lanes added between the curbs, and outside the curbs, a plan to add street trees throughout the street's entire length.
Okay, so the plan is from William Street to the airport.
Yes, the west end will be Maplewood, with just kind of at the city limits, just short of the airport.
And parking will run throughout that entire area as well as bike lanes?
Parking will happen, it kind of varies by segment depending on the width of the curbs, since we're not moving the curbs. Generally, there'll be parking available at least on one side of the street from Goodland moving east, so in the kind of the Bendix Drive area. And you get farther out to the west where there's not the demand for on-street parking, then there won't be any. And the bike lanes will be in about the western 3/4 of the area.
And this is part of this city's Smart Streets initiative, as you mentioned, which is turning one-way streets downtown into 2-way and also reconfiguring Jefferson Boulevard. Could you describe some of the goals of Smart Streets?
Yes, it's really to kind of improve the role of street in the city. So using them, again, in addition to moving people and goods, to better utilize them to kind of unlock some of the economic value in the city, to promote vibrancy, use a complete streets philosophy where all users of the street, so not only motorists, but transit users, bicyclists, pedestrians, can use those in a convenient and safe manner.
Is there a concern at all that going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes with a center turn lane will slow down traffic, or is that part of the point?
Well, I think part of the point is to slow down traffic, but I think not in the way people perhaps think of it. What's particularly effective is reducing the kind of top end speeds, so that the people moving in excess of the speed limit. Generally, these kind of conversions, the experience from other communities is speeds might drop anywhere from 0 to about 4 miles an hour through the corridor. In Lincolnway's case, that's probably about roughly the speed of which vehicles are moving over what the posted speed limits are there. One big push is on these safety components, and I think that'll help a lot there.
And you mentioned other communities. What other communities is South Bend trying to emulate?
I'm not sure there's one directly, but a lot of communities have done these kind of projects. Can vary widely from, for example, Seattle has a long roster of doing these sort of projects, but it can go even down to at the other end of the spectrum. Some data put together on rural communities in Iowa, where a state highway passes through the town, who've done these and gotten good results, either from a traffic perspective or an economic development and placemaking perspective, or both.
I've heard some citizens say that the conversion of one-way streets is a waste of money, and I'm sure that you'll probably hear similar criticisms about the Lincolnway project. What would you say to those critics?
I think the way that the streets are in both cases, whether it's downtown or Lincolnway, is really a drag on the potential of those areas. In Lincolnway's case, we can look at the on-street parking, for instance. The cost to develop an off-street parking space might be in excess of $4,000, and that's if you already own the property. So for a small business owner, that would be a major expense for even a small lot. So having that on-street parking available and a little more attractive environment through the lane configuration and the street trees would help to spur investment. Similarly, on the one-ways, especially for retailers that don't like to be on one-ways, the navigation is a little more difficult, it's a little less visible, because you can only see the business from one direction. And we've heard, I guess, on both angles of developers not wanting to be on one-ways right now because of that situation. And at the same time, now we're looking to convert, and have actually started converting some of those, some uptick in interest development there.
And I noticed on Lafayette, they are removing some of the traffic signals.
Yes.
Are there plans to do that along Lincolnway as well?
Yes. What we're going to do is sort of test at 3 intersections. From the data we have, think that it's a possibility that the signals at Blaine Avenue, Johnson Street, and Maplewood Avenue could be removed. What we'll do initially is bag those signals, so take them out of service, but leave the equipment in place, see how those intersections operate. Though, based on our sort of traffic analysis, we think that those signals can be removed and still work well from a traffic perspective.
I noticed that the price tag is coming in at around $1 million. Is that correct?
That's a rough estimate for the work, yes.
And that includes repaving Lincolnway.
Correct. What we're doing here, the surface is in a pretty good shape overall, but so we don't have to grind out all the existing pavement markings. We'll be looking to do one of 2 approaches to resurfacing, either through a micro surface, which is kind of a sealer coat, or a thin asphalt overlay. So like a repaving, but at much less depth and thus much less cost than a traditional repaving.
And when will we start to see these changes take effect?
Weather permitting, if the ground doesn't freeze, we'll begin the tree planting this fall. Then the tree planting would be wrapped up in the spring. Around May 1st, expect to see the changes between the curbs begin to happen. And that'll be about a 2-month project, we anticipate.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for taking the time to speak with us.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
You can find out more about the Lincolnway West project and Smart Streets at southbendvoice.com. Search for Smart Streets. Also, be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/southbendvoice and on Twitter at twitter.com/southbendvoice.